The last call for help. Emerges Empire. The stars above Velaran 6 looked calm and quiet. But below, on the surface of the planet, chaos ruled. Fires burned in the sky. Screams echoed through shattered cities. The Zarkan swarm had arrived. Once a peaceful and strong world, Velaran 6 was now breaking apart. Buildings collapsed. Ships exploded in the air. Families ran to the underground shelters. Soldiers tried to fight, but they were no match. The enemy was too many, too fast, too cruel. The Zarkan swarm was not like other enemies. They didn't want peace. They didn't take prisoners. They came to destroy. And now, Velaran 6 was next. The government of Velaran 6, known as the Emerges Empire, had once believed they were powerful. They had strong defenses. They had trade deals with other star empires. And they were proud members of the Galactic Union. But when the Zarkan swarm attacked, no one came to help. The High Council of Velaran 6 sat in their war chamber. Their faces were pale, their eyes full of fear. The Supreme Commander stood near the central console, his voice shaking. "We have sent out emergency beacons to every ally," he said. "To the Trade Federation, the Solar Lords, even the Krython Republic." "Any response?" asked one of the council members. He looked down. No, not even a single word. Silence filled the chamber. Not even the air vents dared to whisper. One old member of the council slammed his hand on the table. "They abandoned us. After all the years we stood by them." Another whispered, "Maybe. They think we are already lost." The truth was bitter. The galaxy had given up on Velaran 6. Their distress signals flew through space, but no one answered. Other empires were too scared to face the Zarkan. No one wanted to risk their own worlds. The people of Velaran 6 watched the skies, hoping to see help coming. But only more enemy ships arrived. Hope faded. Fear grew. In the deepest part of the planet, the last emergency signal was sent, a final message full of desperation. "To anyone still listening, we are under attack. We are falling. If there is anyone out there, please help us. This is our last call." Far away, in a forgotten corner of the galaxy, an old satellite caught the signal. It was rusty, floating near a quiet star. Many thought it had stopped working long ago. But it hadn't. Inside the satellite was an old Earth-made relay system, a system built during the Terran expansion era, a time when humanity roamed the stars with pride and power. The signal blinked once, then again, and the message passed through the silent network that no one remembered, until it reached Earth. On the dark side of Earth's moon, a command center lit up. Red lights flashed, ancient monitors turned on, and deep below the surface, someone woke up. A voice echoed in the chamber. Calm, cold, focused. Unregistered emergency signal received. Origin: Velaran 6. Status: critical. Threat: Zarkan swarm. Another voice responded, deeper and firmer. Activate Protocol Iron Sky. All over the command center, screens showed movement, battle plans, fleet deployment, war data. And then, deep in the shadows, massive gates opened. Behind those gates was the Iron Sky Fleet. These were not normal ships. They were old, yes, but powerful. Made of dark steel, shaped like blades, silent like ghosts. The fleet had been hidden for years, forgotten by the galaxy. But not by Earth. A long time ago, humanity had fought many wars. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had trusted the galaxy once and paid a heavy price. So they left. They went silent, disappeared into the dark. But they never stopped watching. And now, they had seen enough. Back on Velaran 6, the skies burned brighter. The Zarkan flagship descended toward the capital. People held each other, prayed, waited for the end. But then, something changed. A ripple in the sky. A strange energy signal. Then dozens of shadows appeared above the atmosphere. The first to notice were the Zarkan scouts. They scanned the new ships but couldn't find their origin. Then a voice came across all frequencies. "This is Fleet Commander Work of Earth. Stand down or be destroyed." The Zarkan swarm laughed. Who were these humans to threaten them? But the people of Valoran 6 didn't laugh. They looked up with wide eyes and whispered the same word over and over again. Humans. Hope had returned, on black wings, made of steel and fire. The forgotten power. Long ago, Earth was known as a rising power in the galaxy. Humans were fast learners. They adapted quickly. They didn't have the best technology at first, but they had something stronger: willpower. They fought wars against ancient empires and won. They explored far beyond known space. They built cities on dead planets and created alliances with weak races. Many races feared them, but many also respected them. Then one day, they vanished. No warning, no goodbyes. The entire Terran fleet disappeared. Human ambassadors returned home. Space stations shut down. Trade stopped. Some said Earth had destroyed itself in a civil war. Others believed they found something in deep space, something that changed them. But the truth, no one really knew. As decades passed, the galaxy moved on. New empires rose. Old enemies made peace, and humans became nothing more than a myth. But myths, as Valoran 6 was now learning, can be real and terrifying. Back on Valoran 6, the Iron Sky Fleet hovered above the planet like silent mountains. No music, no celebration, just a cold silence and deadly power. Their black armor absorbed light. Their weapons were hidden but ready. Even the shape of their ships made enemy scanners panic. Inside the lead ship, the Revenant, stood Commander Work. He had gray eyes, a strong face, and a calm voice. But behind that calm was a storm. He had served during the last galactic conflict, decades ago. He remembered how Earth had been betrayed, how the galaxy turned on humanity during their moment of need. And now he was here, not for revenge, not for glory, but because innocent lives were being destroyed, and no one else cared. His voice echoed through the bridge. Valoran 6 trusted this galaxy. They believed in unity. But unity is fake without courage. Let's show them what real strength looks like. The crew saluted. Every soldier on board had been trained in silence. For years, they waited under Earth's surface, ready for a day like this. They called themselves the Forgotten Guard. The enemy reacts. The Zarkan swarm sent out scout ships to scan the human fleet. But the moment they got close, they disappeared. No explosions, no signals, just silence. Zarkan commanders grew nervous. They had beaten dozens of fleets before. But this was something else. They fired warning shots. The Iron Sky Fleet didn't move, didn't even respond, until a single ship broke formation. It was small, fast, and completely silent. It flew directly through the enemy formation without firing a shot. Every Zarkan ship it passed lost power for 30 seconds. That was enough. In war, 30 seconds is a lifetime. The message was clear. Humanity had returned, and they were no longer playing by the old rules. In the shadows of Earth's past, far away on other planets and space stations, the news spread quickly. Earth is back. Humans have launched their war fleet. Valoran 6 is being protected by them. Old leaders who once betrayed Earth now held secret meetings. Whispers filled the halls of the Galactic Council. One ambassador said, "We forgot them, and now they remember us." Another replied, "We should prepare, because if Earth wins here, the galaxy will change again." Back on Valoran 6, hope began to rise. Not from speeches, not from promises, but from the cold power of Earth's return. People watched the skies not in fear, but in awe. Children pointed at the black ships and smiled for the first time in weeks. Soldiers wept because they knew, somehow, they had been saved. But this was only the beginning. Commander Rourke stared at the Zarkan fleet on his display, and with a steady voice, he gave the order. Begin strike phase. Let the galaxy remember who we are. Arrival of the Iron Sky Fleet. The skies of Velaran 6 began to shift. Not from fire, not from smoke, but from shadows. Black, silent, and massive. The ships of the Iron Sky Fleet broke through the upper atmosphere. Their arrival made the very air feel heavier. They didn't come with banners. They didn't send long speeches. They came like a storm, silent and certain. One by one, the ships appeared over the burning cities. Their dark steel hulls shimmered in the sunlight. Each ship had no name, no markings, only numbers and a strange symbol that no one understood. To the people of Velaran 6, it felt like watching ancient gods rise from deep space. Velaran reacts. Inside the central bunker, the Velaran commanders watched the screens. Every camera, every radar, now focused on the human fleet. General Kale, leader of Velaran's last defense force, stood frozen. They came, he whispered. The humans, they actually came. Beside him, a young officer asked, "Do we try to contact them?" Kale shook his head. No. If they wanted to speak, they would have spoken already. Everyone in that room knew. These ships were not ordinary. They were made for one purpose: war. Zarkan challenge. Above the planet, the Zarkan swarm prepared their response. Their flagship, the Gortal, was a floating fortress covered in bio-armor and lined with spiked plasma turrets. It had destroyed 15 colonies in the last year alone. Commander Jarkal, a six-eyed insectoid beast, watched the humans arrive with amusement. Tiny metal toys, he growled. Let's crush them fast. He ordered his fleet to form up. Over 300 Zarkan warships moved into position, circling the planet like a net. They prepared their cannons. They locked targets. And then, they'd fired. The first strike. Bright plasma beams flew toward the Iron Sky Fleet. The people of Velaran 6 held their breath. But something strange happened. The human ships didn't move. Instead, a glowing blue grid appeared around each ship, a shield system no one had ever seen before. The Zarkan blasts hit the shields. They didn't break. They didn't even shake. Instead, the energy was absorbed, then reflected back. Dozens of Zarkan ships exploded in their own fire. The Velaran control room went silent. One officer whispered, "Is this Earth's true power? Earth strikes back." Commander Rourke stood on the bridge of the Revenant, watching the battle unfold. He didn't flinch. He didn't rush. He waited. Then he spoke just one word: execute. That's all. No speeches, no music, just action. From the Iron Sky Fleet, hundreds of stealth drones launched silently, invisible to scanners, faster than light. They flew directly into the Zarkan ranks, cutting wires, jamming systems, shutting down weapons. At the same time, human warships opened fire. Their weapons were not loud, but they were precise. Each blast hit command ships. Each missile flew like it had a mind of its own. There was no chaos, only deadly order. In 10 minutes, over half the Zarkan fleet was destroyed. Message to the galaxy. Someone had been watching. Across the galaxy, hidden satellites captured the battle in real time. The footage of Earth's silent fleet crushing the mighty Zarkan began spreading fast. World leaders who once laughed at the idea of humanity returning now stared in fear. Armies that once ruled regions now questioned their own strength. One Galactic Council member said during a secret meeting, "If this is the new Earth, we must decide. Are they friends or the next threat?" The people on the ground. Back on Velaran 6, people came out of shelters. They stood in the streets. They looked up. What they saw wasn't fire anymore. It was power. Controlled. Focused, terrifying, but beautiful. For the first time in weeks, they didn't feel weak. They felt protected. Children waved at the black ships in the sky. Old warriors dropped to their knees and wept. A young girl whispered to her mother, "Are the humans going to stay?" Her mother smiled gently and said, "No, but while they're here, nothing will hurt us." Meanwhile, in the shadows, deep in the command core of the Revenant, Commander Rourke read the battlefield reports. He saw the damage numbers, the enemy's remaining ships, Velaran's survival chances. He also saw a private alert from Earth Command. New enemy fleet detected. Bigger, coming from deep space. Not Zarkan. Unknown origin. Get ready. Rourke clenched his fist. This battle wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The wrath of Earth. The battlefield around Velaran 6 had gone quiet, but not because the fight was over. Because the enemy was stunned. More than half the Zarkan fleet had been destroyed in the first wave. Ships that had crushed planets were now drifting ruins in space. Others floated powerless, their engines fried, their weapons offline. The Iron Sky Fleet hadn't taken a single loss. For the first time in years, the Zarkan swarm hesitated. They weren't used to fear. But now, they felt something worse. Confusion. They couldn't understand what had happened. Their weapons failed. Their ships were too slow. Their tactics were useless. And worst of all, they had no idea what the humans would do next. Commander Rourke decides. Inside the Revenant, the main flagship of Earth's fleet, Commander Rourke stood in silence. Around him, the bridge was quiet. Not because of fear, but because his crew was trained to be silent during war. Each officer focused. Every move calculated. No shouting. No mistakes. Rourke looked at the screen. Only a few Zarkan ships were still in formation. The rest were running. "They run," he said calmly. "Let them run." A young officer blinked. "Sir, we're letting them go." Rourke turned slowly. His voice was cold. "No, we let one run. The others disappear." Full force unleashed. In a moment, new ships from Earth's second wave came out of warp. Smaller, faster, deadlier. They were called ghost cutters. Unmanned eye warships with no crew, no fear, no limit. They didn't fire from distance. They flew straight into the enemy ranks, using pulse blades and plasma bursts at close range. Within minutes, the remaining Zarkan fleet fell apart. Some tried to escape. The AI ships followed them across the system. One by one, they vanished in bursts of silent fire. A message in flames. But Rourke wasn't done. He gave one final order. Target the Zarkan flagship, but don't destroy it. Cripple it. Let it limp home. The fleet obeyed. They hit the engines first, then the comms tower, then the weapons core. The great Zarkan command ship, once feared across dozens of systems, now spun slowly in space, bleeding smoke and fire. And then Earth sent one message. Earth does not forget. Earth does not forgive. Harm the innocent again, and we will come back. That message echoed through every open channel in the galaxy. On Velaran 6, the skies cleared. The smoke faded. The burning stopped. People came out of bunkers and shelters. They looked up at the black ships still floating above their cities. Children waved. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Old people cried. Hope wasn't just returning. It had landed. In the central control bunker, General Kale stood before a broadcast screen. He pressed a button and spoke. "To the fleet above, you saved us. Words are not enough. But thank you." There was no reply. Just silence. Because the humans didn't come for thanks. They came for justice. The galaxy watches. Across the stars, other empires watched in fear and wonder. No one had seen Earth's true strength in over 70 years. No one expected this level of precision, of silence, of controlled destruction. Leaders gathered in secret rooms. Plans changed. Treaties were rechecked. An old Krython general said during a council meeting, "We forgot what humans are. They are not monsters. But they are not like us. They fight for the weak. And when they fight, they do not lose." The Iron Sky's purpose. Back on the human flagship, Rourke stood before a large steel wall. On it were the names of colonies lost, allies betrayed, and humans forgotten by the galaxy long ago. He raised his hand and touched the cold metal. "One more saved," he whispered. The screen behind him lit up with a new alert. New threat detected. Incoming fleet. Unknown origin. Estimated arrival. 12 hours. Rourke turned to his officers. "Keep the fleet on high alert. We're not done yet." Because Earth didn't come just to fight the Zarkon. Earth came to remind the galaxy. Humanity may be silent, but they are never gone. The final blow. 12 hours had passed since the skies of Velaran. They came, then vanished. The sky over Velaran 6 was quiet again. But this time, the silence felt different. Not empty, not fearful, but honored. Above the clouds, Earth's mighty Iron Sky fleet floated like silent guardians. Their black hulls reflected starlight. Their engines pulsed with calm power. People stood on rooftops and mountaintops just to see them one last time. Some cheered. Some prayed. Most simply stared, afraid to blink, as if the ships might disappear the moment they looked away. No celebration. There were no speeches from Earth. No grand promises. No conditions. They had saved a planet, crushed an invincible enemy, driven off a greater threat. And now, they were preparing to leave. In Velaran's capital bunker, General Kale sent one final message. "We owe you everything. Please, stay. We can rebuild together." But no reply came. Only the soft hum of engines preparing for departure. Because Earth hadn't come for praise. They came because no one else did. The departure. At 400 Galactic Standard Time, the Iron Sky fleet began to move. One by one, the ships turned toward the edge of known space. No warp signature. No transponders. Just a strange ripple in space as they slipped into the dark. The last ship to leave was the Revenant. Commander Rourke stood at his command deck, watching Velaran 6 fade from view. A junior officer approached him. "Sir, message from Earth Command. Debrief complete. Return route cleared." Rourke nodded. Then, after a long silence, he said, "Make sure the Velarans don't forget this day. But more importantly, make sure we don't." The officer looked confused. "Sir." Rourke turned to him, eyes firm. "Today we were the sword. One day we might need to be the shield again. This galaxy forgets fast. A mystery to the galaxy." When Velaran scientists searched for Earth's fleet afterward, they found nothing. No trail. No energy residue. No satellite record. It was as if the Iron Sky fleet had never existed. And yet, the ruins of the Zarkon, the scars in space, and the stories of survival proved otherwise. Across the galaxy, debates erupted. Was it really Earth? Are they hiding a new homeworld? Are their ships part A, or something else? Some believed it was all a warning. Others called it a myth. But for those who saw it with their own eyes, there was no doubt. What remained behind? Velaran 6 rebuilt slowly. Its people planted trees where bombs once fell. Children played in streets that had once been battlegrounds. And in the heart of the capital, a statue was built. Not of a hero, not of a leader, but of a black worship carved in silence, hovering over a broken world. At the base, only 5 words were written. They came when no one did. No mention of Earth. No need. Everyone already knew. And far away, in a distant part of the galaxy, behind a dead star, Earth's fleet reassembled. They said nothing. Celebrated nothing. They simply moved on. To the next signal. the next forgotten world, the next silent cry for help. Because Earth had become something more than a planet, more than a name. They were now a legend in the dark, a force that arrives when hope is gone, fights when no one else will, and then vanishes, leaving only stories behind. Final words. We are not your rulers. We are not your saviors. We are the shadow you created and the fire you forgot. Earth is silent, but Earth is watching, and Earth remembers.